Welcome, 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 everybody, back to another episode of the podcast. I Still Do, the Godly Man's Perspective on Marriage. I am your host, Jory O'Neill, and with me is my incredible dynamic duo. Terry, how we doing? How we feeling? How we living?
What's going on, Jory? What's going on? Everything is gravy. We're blessed, and we blessed.
Awesome. Happy to hear that. Donald, how are you doing this evening?
Everything is everything at this moment. Good to be here, good to be on, good to be heard, good to listen.
All right. Love it. Love it. So this evening, gentlemen, if it's okay, I would actually like to talk about thorns. Not necessarily horticulture, anything dealing with flowers or floristry. I know that love is in the air. Valentine's Day is coming up soon. We ain't talking about those kinds of thorns. We're talking about the thorns that God puts in relationships or in relation to us to help us stay humble. All right. So for the people out there, let's backtrack a little bit. Terry, you've been married for how long now? It's been a whole month now, bro? Whoa, happy anniversary.
Absolutely. One whole month. Yeah.
So your marriage can't have any thorns this early on, right? I mean, nah, right?
I mean, thorns are thorns. Whether they came when you said I do or they came before you said I do. A thorn is a thorn. It's going to always be there. It's like you said, it's what can you do to humble yourself in dealing with the thorn? I mean, it is what it is. Majority of the time, some of it is can you deal with it, and some of it can you not deal with it. But if you already had those thorns prior to you saying I do, then that means it's something that you're willing to deal with because that person is worth you dealing with that particular thorn, and eventually it will come out on its own, or it'll be easy to be removed without leaving a big scar. So it all depends on how you look at it.
I like that one. You're moving the thorns without a big scowl. Ooh, talking about surgeons over here. I love it. Dope, dope, dope. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk broad terms first. All right. So we're going to get really general. What types of things do you feel like could be thorns in a marriage? And talk about from the man's perspective.
Conversation can be a thorn, not having the conversations that you feel you should have or that you would like to have. That's one. For me, which is it's not a big thorn, but it's a thorn. Like I don't like to be questioned a lot. So my wife liked to question me about everything. It's not that she questioned me, it's like she likes to know more information. So for me, that's understanding that she wants more information is making that thorn a little bit more tolerable. Like I could put a shirt on and move without it really digging deep into my skin, if that makes sense. So like I said, she likes to get more information. Like I could say, prime example, there's no more salsa. Did you eat it? Well, there's no more salsa. So, well, no, did you eat it? But no, there's no more salsa. Whether I ate it or not, I'm telling you, there's no more salsa. That it is just more information. And a lot of people think that you're being questioned, which is me. I always think I'm being questioned about things that I say. And it's not that I'm being questioned about what I say, is she's an informational person. So therefore, it's more information she gets from the subject, the better she feels about how she's going to move going forward in dealing with anything. For some men, it's like, yo, stop asking me all these dang on questions. If I say it ain't there, it ain't there. But that's how it's been since we've been in a relationship. So, and because I grew to a point, and I talked to somebody, we both did at the same time, and they was explaining how we are different. And if we would just do certain things that understand that's the ease that other person, because I know I could be a thorn to her. What it is that I'm being a thorn, I do that causes her me to be a thorn, I don't know. But I feel like as we go on throughout this marriage, and by it being early, that all the main thorns, the real big ones that could dig deep, I don't feel we have those because we already understand the financials. You know, we work together on that. We work together on raising the kids, even with one not being me fathering. You know, we still working with raising her together with our new one. You know, we're working on that one. She gives me insight in dealing with the oldest ones as well. So we don't have some of the issues that a lot of blended families have when it comes to the wearing of the children, you know. But that's just by the grace of God in that sense, you know what I'm saying? Because she could be one of those type of women who just don't want to have anything dealing with your other children, which can cause a problem in your relationship. If you a family oriented person that wants everybody to be around. If you're not, then it's not going to be a problem. It's okay. Well, my wife don't want me to deal with these kids. I want to deal with the kids. But what does that say about you as a man? You know, so, but yeah, we good. I mean, that's about the only thing I can think about at this point. It's not, but it's the only thing I'm willing to discuss at this point.
Well, that's honest.
You know,
That's honest. You switched it up. I appreciate that. Keep it
Yeah,
honest.
that was a good answer, man. I think somehow, and it shows that our bloodline is connected because that's one of my thorns too. One of the biggest ones I had to kind of get over if I wanted this marriage to work. But on a broader look with thorns, I would say, yeah, like you said, communication, finances, things that we talked about in the past, like how we were raised, how we look to raise our children, what a family dynamic looks like could be a thorn. Friendships can be thorns. Hold on.
Children,
you know,
children.
when it goes to mute,
thorns.
it's a wrap. Yes.
Those are the obvious ones. The thorns walking outside of your body, stinking up your house and eating up all your food.
Exactly. Yeah, children can be one. Like you said, also changing careers, changing the level of income. Heck, if one person decides that they want to go back to school and the other one, you know, doesn't have a degree, that could be a thorn. You know, just insecurities about oneself can be a thorn. So, you know, in this journey, you really gotta figure out, you know, personally, like what is it that's stopping you from connecting to this other person that's becoming a thorn. And you know, it comes back to communication, not being able to communicate with the other person what you're feeling that you know, creates those thorns. And then also just not being in that place of understanding or listening to the other person as they communicate, right? With the whole friendship thing, right? Because one spouse can be okay with certain people, with the other spouse having certain type of friends, while another spouse can be like, you know, I don't feel comfortable. And then you not listening to that can cause just all type of issues. But yeah, almost anything in this world can become a thorn if it's allowed.
So, real talk, gentlemen, have you been able to identify your wife's thorns?
Like, meaning what thorn we are to them?
Yes, very much.
Well, okay. Mine is one of them that I could probably say is I don't like answering the questions. That could be a thorn. And also, a lot of times, she does bring it to my attention and I do try to correct it, but because it's a habit, one of the habits that you have to work on breaking to create a new habit, you know, every time you get rid of a bad habit, the thing is to replace it with a good habit. So one of the things that I noticed that she brought to my attention several times is that sometimes I'll cut her off when she's talking, when she's trying to express herself, or I'll probably say, well, get her point across or have me get a better understanding of what it is that she wants to do. I sometimes will cut her off, and not to be disrespectful or anything, but it still could come off disrespectful. And that could be a thorn also, is not allowing your mate to speak their piece in dealing with any situation, because at that point it's no longer a conversation being had between you and her. It's more you're speaking and she's listening, and then when it's time for her to speak, you don't hear. So that communication barrier is right there, because you're chopping off her message to receive. You know what I mean? So I think that could be one of the thorns that I could be for her as well. But it's funny because look, Donald had mentioned, I do apologize, Donald has mentioned the degree part. I was in prior relationships where I didn't have a degree, but I helped them obtain a degree. And once they got their degree, I felt like they looked at me less of what I was. You know what I mean? Like, oh, well, I have a degree, I'm better than you, or I have a degree. Hey, because you were here, I'm the one who went to school. Okay, well, the only reason you went to school is because I paid the bills. It was one of those things where that became an issue, and it can become an issue. But like you said, it deals with communication. So if you're not communicating, and that's, I don't care what anybody say, and when it comes to a marriage or a friendship or any type of relationship in business or anything, first, of course, we all know we got to seek God. Whoever you believe in, you have to seek that higher power. And two is you have to be able to communicate, not just be able to listen, but to be able to understand and give feedback in that sense. So that person who's giving the message will know that you received the message, you understand the message, and now let's continue to grow. Because a lot of times, it's like I said, men, we don't like listening a lot. And I'm speaking in general. I can definitely speak for me. I didn't like listening beforehand, but I did the necessary things to get me to the point where I can listen. So, and that's growth.
Thank you for sharing. Very, very vulnerable. Again, love it. Donald, have you been able to identify your wife's thorns?
100% trial and error. Trial and error. My wife is one who's not going to shy away from telling me how she feels, which is a good thing. But I didn't see it that way at the beginning. One of the biggest things that I had to continually work on was like my tone of voice as I'm talking to her, right? Just she doesn't like to be disrespected with how I speak to her. And for the longest time, I was like, what are you talking about? I'm just talking. I'm just a man. I'm just talking. What you mean my tone? You want me to slow down like this? Or like, what do you want me to do? But it took a lot of trial and error, patience, and really listening to what she was saying for me to really get to understand that. But that's, again, it's trial and error. Just being open to understanding and listening. And you could pick up on what your partner's thorn is.
Okay, so you're able to identify some of the things that you do to prick your wives. Now, how do your wives prick you? Dun, dun, dun.
Like I said, it's the questions.
I think the connection went bad. I don't know. Are we still connected?
Hey, look, I'm gonna stick to it. Once I already say something, I'm gonna stick with it. It's the questions. It's the questions. But you know what? I'm gonna tell you. Like I was talking to one of my close friends today, and one of the things that he did, it was funny. Him and his lady is having issues, and he got on POF, right? And when he got on POF, what do you know? He seen her on POF.
Wait. Let's back up for all the people who are like me, who have no idea what POF is.
Plenty of fish. It's a dating site.
Plenty of fish?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a dating site. So he seen her on it, right? And then he sent her a message on it, right? So when he sent her a message, she ended up calling me and was like, yo, I sent my lady a message. And I was like, you stupid. And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, you just opened up a can of negativity that you're gonna walk into, or once you get in the house, or once you get in the house. He was like, why? I said, because the thing is, even though she was on there, you didn't know she was on there until you created a profile to get on there. So now the only thing is what you did just caused an issue in the house that you had no idea that you created that own issue. Now you finna go into something that you created mad because you created it. Now she can say, oh, so why you create your profile? Now it's no longer about her no more. Now it's about what you did. And what we have to realize is that we have to look at that sense. Like it, and like I told him, it was different if his homeboy showed him, hey, yo, this is your lady on POF, you know what I'm saying? And then you came and asked her about it. But the thing is, you got on it because, and I asked him, why did you create it? For conversation. See, so that lets you know that it's a communication barrier there. And the only thing I can really tell him is like, yo, you have to be the example and the protector in that household. Like, regardless of what you and your lady is going through, you still have to protect her. You still have to set an example for your children. And the only way you can do that is by you changing your old habits. You went exactly back to something that you knew can cause a problem anyway, because you speak up with the wrong person, y'all have a conversation, you continue to talk to her. Next thing you know, you're trying to see each other. Now that you're seeing each other, you're going out, now it's touchy-feely, and bam, you open the door for all that. And no matter what happens, you created it. So now if you want to try to fix it, you have to ask her. You have to humble yourself and ask her, what is it that I can do to fix it? And deal with everything that comes with it. All the backlash, all the ridicule, everything. You have to deal with that. And you have to understand that because you created it, you have to deal with it. It's different if she was to create it. That's something she would have to deal with. But because you went and did something and seen her and sent the message, now both of y'all looking stupid because you on this and she's on this, and now you're like, oh shit, what's next? You know what I mean? So we just got to be careful with what we choose to do, because I tell people all the time, it's going to hurt you. It's not going to hurt you, but it's going to affect you twice in life. The time you did it and later on down. It's going to have a cause and effect always, no matter what it is. We can make a decision to go to school. At that time, we made the right decision. Later on, either we got a good job, getting our degree, or we got a degree and not a job that we wanted to go to school in. You know what I mean? So it affects you either way. You just have to realize, look at what's on the upside of it. You know, like, how can you continue to be better? You know, that's why I commend you. I know you went to school for many things. You got many certificates, degrees, levels ups. You got a closet full of power ups. You know what I mean? Like, if we was playing Mario Brothers, you got the mushroom coming along. You got the fire, the flower that shoots the fire. You got you can get the tail that can help you fly. Like, you got all that in your repertoire. You know what I'm saying? Like, you fully loaded. You know, and because you have that, a lot of people could say you overqualified for something that you know you qualify for, because it's a fear of them. Because you have these pieces of paperwork and these certifications, they can say you're overqualified because now they know they're gonna have to pay you your worth. They're gonna have to pay you for the time that you put in to get that, and they don't want to do that. But that's also in these relationships. The time that you put in, you're gonna get paid out on it. But you have to put in the right amount of time and the right energy to receive that to come back. Because if you don't put in time and you don't have the right energy going into it, you're going to receive exactly what you're giving, nothing. So that's it on that one. I just had to share that one because it was just crazy, because we was talking about thorns, and that was like, you know, just ouch, that had to hurt type thing. Because I'm like, you stupid, because I wouldn't have done it. Not at all.
Donald, are there any thorns that I don't know, maybe. I know how awesome your wife is. So it might be hard to think of any. Give it a try. Anything she does that pricks you?
Man, we got a whole hour left. No, I'm playing. I think for me, it's back on communication. Um, it's almost like she does a really good job at communicating how she's feeling, but sometimes it's a little too late. So she'll hold on to something, brush it off. Hold on to something, brush it off, and then like when everything's kind of ready to explode, it'll just all come out. Like, hey, so you're upset about the time I didn't help you wash the dishes like 2 weeks ago? Okay, well, thanks for telling me. So I think that's one of those things with the whole communication piece, because I think we're still learning to be comfortable with in the moment expressions. Right there, yeah. In the moment expressions.
So, question to both of you guys. How do you feel like your individual weaknesses collectively make you stronger in your marriage?
Iron sharpen iron. So it's really one of those things to where most times things happens where you weak at, he's strong, and whereas he's weak, you're strong. So it's gonna balance out if you know how to utilize each other's weaknesses and strengths. But the main thing that a lot of people have to understand and realize is that that weakness should never be a weakness. It shouldn't remain a weakness as you grow. She should be showing me how to strengthen my weaknesses as the same thing I should be showing her how to strengthen hers. So what we would consider a weakness is no longer a weakness. It's more of a strength now, because now I'm able to do the things that I couldn't do before. I can do them, which means I'm more responsible, which means I have more power of controlling me and our environment. You know what I mean? Because that's the key. Like, you can have a bad day at work, but you have to understand that when you come home, some people don't know how to leave that at work or leave it in the car. Where if you have somebody who do know how to do that, they can give you those tools to how to teach you how to leave it at work. So when you come home, it's back to peace. But you have to be able to understand their weaknesses and their strengths. Like, I know some of her weaknesses, and she knows some of mine, as well as I know her strengths. Am I going to continue to put a lot of things on her strength? No, I wouldn't do that, because all I'm doing is strengthening her strengths. But if I was to give her something on dealing with her weakness and she has to work on that, then I'm strengthening her weakness. All I'm there for is a backup. I'm there to push. I'm the motivator. I'm the inspiration. I'm the engine that's pushing. You know what I mean? Her to keep going, and that's what she is to me. She's that person who, when I feel weak, she gives me that strength. Whether it's dealing with whatever that I could be weak in, she's there to, hey, maybe if you try this, it'll work. I mean, that's how you deal with that particular part, from my perspective.
Donald?
I agree to a certain extent. Just so, for instance, like in our marriage, my wife is the saver and I'm the spender, right? And in no way, shape, or form are we really trying to change each other in that situation, but it works for us, because I'll go out and get whatever, some things we might need for the house or for the kids, or some extra stuff for groceries, or I'll buy the new coffee maker that she was like, I wish I had a coffee maker, but we don't have the money to buy it. I'm like, yes, we do. It's right here. Things of that nature. But she does a really great job at budgeting and keeping track of all the finances and things. And, some days I'll be like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna budget with you. Then all of a sudden I'm playing video games or looking out the window. It's just not in me. I try, but it's just not in me. And looking at how we raise our children, right? She is the best nurturer in the world. I'm horrible at it. My kids start crying. I'm looking at you like, like, be quiet. What's wrong with you? But when it comes to disciplining the kids, she's extremely lenient. And I'm just the iron fist, and it balances and it works. But there are some things like our weight loss, our professional lives, and our spiritual lives where we do walk hand in hand to help each other. And there are some weaknesses and some strengths. Like, so when it comes to our spirituality, she always wants us to read together. I'm like, baby, that's not my strength right there. Reading ain't my strength. We have to figure this one out. But it all depends on how the strengths benefit the marriage. And if the one person who's doing that is capable of doing it and can be consistent with it, and just needing some support and like a cheerleader from the other half, then that's one thing. But if two people are struggling with something and one person is just doing it just because of necessity, then that's an area where both parties need to try to figure out how to get stronger in that area so that they can succeed in whatever they're trying to do.
So I'm gonna use some reflection skills. So what I hear you saying, Donald, is that you aren't sweating the small stuff, and where things seem like they're more personality driven, you let them be. But if it's a possible like goal or maybe a life achievement or an accolade of some sort, then you all will push one another to reach higher, to reach further, to go deeper, things of that nature. Where Terry, on the other hand, it seems desires a true teammate. You want somebody on the court with you who, if you give them the rock, they know what to do with it. And if they don't, you're going to put in that work in the gym, making sure that they can handle the rock, so that when the time comes and you both on the court, you're able to fully trust this person with everything, and they in turn can trust you with everything, so that you have two equal parts. So this is
Right.
interesting. This is interesting.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and the only reason it's like that because you have to look at if like in your situation, Donald, and not saying I'm just using it because you just brought it up. As far as the budgeting, I hate budgeting. I like to spend money. She likes to spend money as well, but she can budget to where she can get the money at the end to spend. Me, I want to spend that. Hey, I got $100. I want to go get shrimp, lobster. Hey, what we need all that for? And look, that's just one meal. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not, but I can buy things for one meal and she could take it and make it into 2 or 3. But the thing is, what I was getting at is, let's say something happened to where she can't budget. Then what are you going to do? You're going to have no other choice but to either blow the money or learn how to budget and get rid of your spending. It's not that you're changing who you are. You're just adding more weapons to the war, to the battle of the relationship. You're just adding more fire, which is going to make you guys even stronger. Because now she knows if I leave the house for a month, you can maintain the house, pay all the bills, have money left over, and probably still get something that you wanted for her on top of what you want for you. She has that comfort in knowing that she can leave and everything is going to be okay. Me personally, I don't know if Chelsea believed that she can leave the house and be gone for a month, and that she gonna come back and all the bills gonna be paid that she didn't call me to make sure that I paid. I don't even think that I'm capable of doing that. Can we set up to where it come directly out the bank account? Hey, when you grow up robbing Peter to pay Paul, that's all you got that concept, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to change that mindset. You should no longer have to rob Peter to pay Paul. You should already know that you got the money to pay it. It should be something to where I put the money up for this particular reason. And when you have somebody who's financial, who can deal with finances like that, yeah, you want to learn from that person. Just like I know, Jory, you can go out and create a whole house of pallets. You know what I'm saying? So Ron thing is, look, if my wife can make a house out of pallets, I'm gonna make sure I can provide pallets, provide the tools and everything else, and I'm gonna give her a little bit of labor of my time to help build this house because I know this is something she can do. You see what I'm saying? Is you feed it, but at the same time, you have to be able to pull from it for yourself. You know.
In terms of finances, so our household is a very interesting household where we're both cheap yet frivolous, if it exists. So we both suck with money, we both dope with money. Like we don't want to spend it, but we don't want to save it. So we set up these gadgets, right? We like Truebill. Shout out to Truebill. This is gonna be the sponsor for this show right here. But Truebill takes all the guesswork out of saving, like no lie. It takes the guesswork out of saving, takes the guesswork out of budgeting, everything. You just link your stuff and boom, it does everything. It has little spreadsheets. It tells you what you need to do to increase your credit. It's dope. And it's a software that's free. You can buy the paid one. We got the paid one because we just want to make sure. But neither one of us has to be great at this. We just have to do enough research to figure out, okay, this is better, and we both can enter into it. I still have old school spreadsheets where I literally write everything that we've spent for the entire month by hand and then calculate it on a calculator, then put it into an Excel sheet. I still do my old school stuff because that's just me. I need to see exactly where every single dollar went. It doesn't mean I'm going to save them dollars. It just means I need to know where they are so I can find them easier. We work together to make sure that we have a house at the end of the day, and no one's coming to repossess the joint, right? Like, so,
we still got lights, yeah,
right? Lights. Like, but all of those are automated bills, like they automatically come out because I don't remember to pay them. I know we need to. I know it happens every month. When? I don't know. Who am I mailing this check to? I don't know. So we put everything automatic. So I'm saying that to say that yes, Terry, I agree that you should know how to run your household for at least a month without nobody telling you what to do. And Donald likewise. But listen, it's 2022. There are ways out there where you can be creative and figure it out collectively, where no one needs to feel like they have less, because I know you're talking about thorns, but finances is a very large thorn in a lot of marriages. It is a ginormous thorn. The lack of it, people hoarding it, right? Or the lack of information to the partner, right? If I'm the person who oversees the finances, me not telling my spouse how much we have, where is it, like all those things, it creates an insecurity in people. And that itself can be a thorn, just not knowing how to handle your finances. And so I know we got a little off topic, but I want to ask, like, from the time that you said I do, now mind you, Terry, yours is a little shorter, right? It's been a month. How have you found the best way to help remove the thorn from your spouse? What is the most delicate, surgically tactical maneuver that you've used to remove your wife's thorns? And we're going to leave it at that. So if you could drop some pearls, some nuggets for those listening, what are some ways that we can remove our spouse's thorns?
So are you saying the way we can remove her being a thorn to me or me being a thorn to her?
No, the way we remove our spouse's thorn. So even if you're the cause of that pain or that hurt, right? How do you, because before you said I do, you were spot on, Terry, right? You came in the marriage with maybe some thorns that you already had previously. So how do you make sure that you're removing these thorns from your spouse, not just adding to them?
Okay, so I crack a joke, but I'm serious when I say this. I married Chelsea before she married me. So when we decided to get together, that was my commitment to her as her husband, because I knew she was going to be my wife. So I made that commitment. So I married her before she married me. She said I do on the 1st of this year. I just confirmed the I do for me on the 1st, but I had already said I do when we started dating, when we got together. But throughout that process, it's a lot of like, she had thorns, I had thorns. What I can say is be patient. Definitely be patient, because that's the key to a lot of things a lot of people don't have, and a lot of people need to practice, is being patient. One, being patient, and two, being vocal about what it is that need to be done. Because a lot of times the thorns that need to be removed is not the thorns that you can help remove. Those have to be thorns that person can remove, but you have to be patient enough to allow that person to remove those thorns. So that's the main thing I can say. Everything deals with communication, but in this particular case on dealing with removing thorns, it's going to be patience and communication, and being consistent. Because you can't be patient today and impatient tomorrow. You're fighting a battle that you're not going to win at that point. But you have to be patient, and you have to keep that line of communication.
Donald, any gems you want to drop? How do you remove your wife's thorns?
I concur. You got to be patient, and you got to be able to communicate, but you have to understand in that communication, you have to figure out where the root of those causes are, and not to internalize them into yourself. Like you, in those communication, or in the time where you're realizing that something's going on, or that your spouse is reacting to certain things or certain triggers, and you know that they're not from you, or you realize that they're not from you, you have to not internalize that, and to have those conversations. And sometimes, in those conversations, you got to realize that maybe a professional is needed, because we're all not, a lot of us aren't therapists, and even if we were, we wouldn't be the best therapist to our spouse. And so, creating that atmosphere where they feel safe to communicate with you about what's going on, to have that open discussion, and for you to be consistent with your patient, and being patient and being consistent with understanding and effective communication. Just listening sometimes, and just hearing what's going on. It's there's a lot of family dynamic issues that people kind of go through and grow up with, that you just can't solve it. Sometimes you just got to listen to people vent it out, and over and over again, until they can kind of release it out of their system.
This has been dope, gentlemen. Thank you so much for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, this episode was brought to you by Truebill. They need to sponsor it, because I've said the name 3 times already. I think that's how it works. You say their name 3 times, like Beetlejuice and Candyman, and then they're supposed to do something. I'm not sure. But no, gentlemen, thank you so much. This was dope. Just to summarize everything at the end, I heard some awesome things on being patient, being consistent, being communicative. And Donald, I love the fact that you added to not internalize things. So don't make it about you. If your wife has thorns, be mindful that she may have had those things planted there prior to your marriage. All right. So everything that your wife is going through is not about you, fellas. It's not.
But also don't just think everything that might be wrong in their marriage or with your wife ain't about you. Because we've probably added some things as well.
So what I'm hearing is it may be about you, fellas.
Don't make the assumptions, but listen
Don't
to
assume
figure
it's
out.
about you, but more than likely it is about you. Well, that clears up everything, folks. I'm Jory O'Neill. This is I Still Do, the Godly Man's podcast about marriage. God bless and good night. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Peace.